McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Classic hits.
Breaking news, and I was shocked. I have to be honest with you. I was shocked. That was my initial reaction when I heard the story that RTE has no plans for Ryan Tubridy to return to the broadcaster. In a statement this evening, the DG, Director General Kevin Backhurst, said negotiations with Tubridy had concluded without success. Now, my initial reaction was that of shock, because I assumed he would be back on the radio. Obviously, he's not going back to the Late Late Show. That was not going to be happening. But I assumed he was going to be back on his radio show when it came back after the summer break. I would have bet my house on it. And I'm absolutely shocked that this is not the case. Now, Kevin Backhurst did release a statement. I'm not going to read it out in full because Jesus will be here all night. But the bones of it, he said, "We went into the negotiations with Ryan in good faith and in the hopes of reaching an agreement that would see Ryan return to RTE Radio 1 show," which Ryan has always said that he wants to do. He wants to be back on the radio. He loves the radio show. Kevin Backhurst says, "I have decided not to continue with negotiations, and as such, there are no plans for Ryan to return to his presenting role with RTE at this time." And it goes on and on and on. I might read more of it out a bit later on. But I want to get your thoughts on this. 087 188 0008. What is your reaction to it? Are you happy to hear that he's not returning? Do you think he's been used as a scapegoat in the whole RTE wages scandal? I personally do. I was on Virgin Media News about 2 weeks ago. And it wasn't about Ryan Tubridy, but I was asked the question about Ryan Tubridy, and I said, and I stand by that, I believe he has been made a scapegoat of. There's a lot of hatred towards Ryan Tubridy. I just don't get it. I don't get the hatred. He's a great broadcaster. He's one of the best broadcasters we have in this country, and I think it's a big loss. I really do. But joining us on the line now to talk more about this is Sunday Independent reporter Mark Tighe. You're very welcome to the show, Mark. How are you?
I'm great, Jeremy, thanks.
Good, and come here, by the by, completely unrelated to Ryan Tubridy. I only found out about 20 minutes ago, are you an Everton supporter as well?
I'm a Toffee a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's very few of us, and that's why we get excited when we meet each other, because we're few and far between, aren't we?
So we are, yeah. I inherited it from my dad, so it's a genetic condition I'm at this stage, and passing on to my children for the four things. Well,
funny story for you about that. I have a young fellow as well who's mad into football. He got mad into football about 2 years ago, and I tried to make him an Everton supporter like myself. And he sat down and watched a game. I can't even remember it doesn't matter what game it was because we're crap in all the games. But he sat down and he watched a game of Everton playing. I had the jersey and all bought for him, and he said, "Oh no, I'm not following them." So he went off. he went off and supported Chelsea just to spite me. He did.
Okay. Anyway, glory hunter.
Yeah,
good man.
Absolutely. Anyway, you've been following this story for quite some time. First of all, I want to get your reaction to it because it's quite fresh. It's quite raw. What were you shocked by the news this evening?
I'm surprised by it that it came so quickly after the statement yesterday. Like, obviously, there had been an issue, and if people have been following it very closely, and most people probably hadn't been following it intricately, you'd be aware that ever since Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly went before the Oireachtas and told their side of the story, there was a credibility deficit there. They were saying that this whole Renault deal, for Tubridy to get €75,000 extra a year through doing these gigs for Renault in showrooms around the country. Tubridy and Kelly insisted that this was nothing to do with them, really. This was a deal that RTE had pushed on them, and it wasn't part of contract negotiations. And they're basically saying, look, the restatement of Tubridy's salary, where it was shown to be 440, but then RTE came back and said, no, actually, that should have been 522,000. A big difference. Tubridy saying, well, look, these are separate things. The Renault deal wasn't part of my overall contract negotiation. I suppose what was clear from the Grant Thornton report yesterday was that it very much was. You could see in the whole contract negotiations, the emails from Rita O'Keefe, who was the financial director in RTE, was quite clearly saying this third-party deal was part of the overall compensation package for Ryan Tubridy going forward in 2020. So when Tubridy came out yesterday and said, "Oh, look, I've been proven right. There's no, my statements, the amount of earnings I got from RT were always correctly stated." Or I think this is just too hard for RT and Kevin Backhurst to swallow, saying, "Hang on, no, we've all admitted, or we were all on the same page, saying that the earnings for Tubridy were wrongly published previously, but Tubridy wasn't willing to accept that. He was sticking to the story that him and Noam Kelly went with before the Oireachtas committee." And that's ultimately where the parties, fallen short. It wasn't on salary, it wasn't on commitments, to the radio station or, his slot. It was, what side of the story were they going to stick to?
And that's what it appears to be, reading between the lines, that it's a trust thing here. And following this over the last couple of months, and seeing Tubridy's statements that he gave that time, and I'm thinking, it is going to be very hard for him to go back to RTE, because he sat there for a couple of hours and basically slammed the company that he, not that he works for, that employs him, because he was a contractor. But it's it's the golden rule in this business, as you know, we all work in media, that you don't basically throw your company under the bus. Now they threw him under the bus as well. What did you make of the statement made by the RTE Director General this evening?
Yeah, he was just on the 9 o'clock news with Sharon Neville on. So just a few minutes ago here, where Kevin Backhurst said he was shocked. He'd spoken to Tubridy today, and then Tubridy was shocked and disappointed to be told that was it. He did leave a little bit of wriggle room, but he said, "Look, it is time to move on, but the door is still open if Ryan will have a U-turn, I suppose, and basically get on board with the story and admit, I suppose, that his salary had been overstated, and that the Renault deal was part of the overall compensation package." So I don't think he has been targeted for criticising the management, like the RT board and Kevin Backhurst, and even Adrian Lynch, the interim Director General, have all said mistakes were made, that it's like the Grant Thornton report has found, it wasn't Tubridy's fault that these misstatements were made publicly. So I don't think he's been punished for that. He's been punished for this thing, and which most of the TDs and senators just couldn't swallow either, that say that it wasn't something that Tubridy and his agent pushed, that they had to have this extra 75 grand a year, whether it was underwritten by RT or not, and whether it was provided through a third party, which is Renault, or the slush fund, that which we all found out about and found fascinating. I think that's where the credibility issue has basically undermined Tubridy's future in RTE, that he said, "I didn't know any of this would be paid by RTE." Even, you had this kind of theatrical moment where Tubridy is saying, "Oh, I could repay the money to this UK company," and they're like, "Hang on, that money would have to go back to RTE. It's RTE money." And he was turning around to say, "Who would the money go back to?" And you're like, "Come on, Ryan, we know it came from RTE at this stage." So I think Tubridy, his lawyer, his agent, were all sticking to their guns, saying we didn't know where that money was coming from ultimately. But if you look back at the records, I don't think that story really stood up to test.
And it's hard to speculate. I've interviewed Ryan a couple of times over the years. I've always found him very, very nice. How do you think he will be feeling right now? Because he kept stipulating over the last couple of months, "I want to go back to him." He loved his radio show. I think he loved his radio show more than the Late Late Show. Yeah. To be honest, that was his baby. A very successful baby as well. I mean, I ended up getting into arguments earlier on with people on Twitter, because a lot of people who don't work in the media industry, they don't understand how it works. And people were saying, "Oh, he gets such and such money for a couple of hours work," and they don't see the work that goes in behind, like the amount of prep that took for the Late Late Show. He wasn't just arriving in on a Friday at 9:15 and just sitting down and doing it all. That's not the way it was happening. How would you say he's feeling at the moment?
Well, I think Backhurst has said, disappointed and shocked. I think Tubridy expected to be back on air, that this deal will conclude. Like, obviously, from the statement this evening, we know that they've agreed all the nitty gritty on pay. He was going to take a pay cut. It would be under €200,000. The hours, the commitment to the show was all sorted. So I think he'd be devastated by this. Like, RT was his home. Like, he's flirted with going to the BBC. That doesn't seem to be a live issue at the moment. He's done some work there. So I think he'd be devastated. Yeah, like he'd been at RTE since before he went through puberty. Tubridy was growing up around RTE, and he was a consummate radio host. So, and a very, very capable radio host. So I think he'd be devastated.
Absolutely, I think he will too. And well, taking us to the next, that takes us nicely to the next question: as what does the future hold for Ryan Tubridy? I mean, I was thinking about it coming in this evening and thinking of other media companies in Ireland that would take him on, and the kind of money that he commands, I can't see any media company being able to afford him. So is there room in the UK for him? Would he go to the UK? Would he want to go to the UK?
Yeah, I think there'd be lots of options. Even after giving up the late, he talked about maybe doing a podcast. He'd had a lot more time on his hands from giving up that big commitment of the Late Show every week. So, he could go on an independent route, where he'd be his own boss. I think, there's no great appetite at the moment maybe for him in Bauer, who control Newstalk and Today FM, but I think down the line, I don't see why they wouldn't offer him a job. At the end of the day, look, he hasn't robbed anyone. He hasn't committed any crimes here.
No, absolutely not.
I think he's been unwise in maybe not, and some of the statements he's put out, where he didn't, say, I could have corrected my public salaries, or he hasn't been I think he's been badly advised, really, and he's been very loyal to his agent, and maybe to I think it's cost him his RTE career in the immediate future. But I think, he hasn't stopped being a very good broadcaster. So I think there will be a big market for him.
Oh, I think so.
There'll be a lot of sympathy for him as well, I think, among his loyal followers. But
social media, looking at social media is a cesspit at the best of times. You know that yourself. Social media, the comments being made about him, like he was after stealing an old granny's pension or something like that. It's unbelievable, the things that people have been saying about him, and the pure hatred. And I think a lot of it comes from people not understanding how the media works and the kind of audience that he commanded. I mean, the Late Show, I think the average audience for the Late Show was 430,000 a week. Like, that is a huge audience number. That brings in huge revenue as well.
Yeah, well, Noel Kelly was saying, he claimed that Tubridy had brought in €100 million to RTE over the last, I think it was 8 years, he was saying that was over. So look, in a time of, where everyone's streaming and the endless options, he made sure eyeballs are on RTE on Friday night. His radio show was very successful and brought on a lot of sponsorship, a lot of listeners, and, Tubridy was he was Mr. RTE, so it's been an amazing fall from grace in the last 12 weeks, really. So it's extraordinary. And I don't
think it's the last of it. This is definitely an ongoing story, and I have a feeling we'll be talking to you again. Sunday Independent reporter Mark Tighe, thanks very much for joining us at such short notice, by the way.
Happy to help.
Thanks very much, Mark, and up to toffees as well.
Again, hopefully.
Cheers, thanks very much. Don't jinx it. That is Mark Tighe, Sunday Independent reporter, just giving us a lowdown on what has happened to lead up to this. And just looking, and Twitter, I do like Twitter. I use Twitter quite a bit, but Twitter is not a representation of public opinion, I don't believe. I mean, if you look on Twitter and you put a search for Tubbs, and I mean, someone just replied to me there, he's an overpaid twat. And again, that's just unhelpful. That doesn't get you anywhere, because that person who's saying he's an overpaid twat probably follows Liverpool Football Club, where players are getting paid $2 million a week to kick a ball. So it's all relative. And I'm not here licking Ryan Tubridy's arse by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just telling you, from someone who works within the media, I understand the value of someone who is successful. His Late Show brought in 434,000, just think about that for a moment, 1,000 people every single week. His radio show, 330 odd thousand people every day. They are huge audience numbers. That brings in a lot of revenue. He wasn't being paid for bad figures or bad listenership or bad viewership. He was a ratings winner, and the people slagging him off over that wouldn't think twice about their favourite footballer getting $2 million a week. So I just think you need to understand how the media works, and everybody over the last couple of weeks has become a barstool media expert. And I'm telling you, if you don't work in the media, you don't know how it works. So sit back on your bar stool. I want to hear from you. 087 188 0008. 087 188 0008. What is your reaction to us? Breaking news. We're the first show to talk about it, because it literally only happened a couple of hours ago. Ryan Tubridy will not be returning to RTE. I think it's a huge loss. I really do. Let me go to Kathy. How are you, Kathy?
Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
How are you? Are you on my side of the argument that you think it's a loss? You think he's been badly treated?
I've met him a few times, and I can swear on my life he is one of the nicest people I've ever met. When he's running that late show, he's often there till way after 12 o'clock, talking to people in the green room, talking to people out the front. He's a lovely person, and he certainly does not deserve all the bullying he's getting at the moment.
And again, it's complete ignorance that people just assume that, he works. I'm just looking at someone else who just replied to me there. How is 5 hours work a week worth 200 grand a year?
No, that's crap.
That's bullshit.
When he's doing the late show, he's in there at 8 o'clock in the morning, where they're having their meetings and everything.
Oh, complete. The Late Show's, it takes a whole week to plan it and to put it together.
Are people forgetting all about the children on the Late Show? Some of them weren't well, and how he supported them and raised money for them, and then shows people how they're improving. He's actually one of the nicest people in the media, in my opinion. And the bullying that he's getting... If you saw him 3 months ago, he's changed so much in the last 3 months.
He's a broken man. He really is a broken man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But why I'm not going to swear. Why the hell are people doing that to him? Why are they picking on him?
Okay, because...
Why don't they pick on the bloody government or someone?
Because...
He's just an ordinary man with kids who is trying to make a living, all right?
Well, a very good living, it has to be said now as well.
Yeah, I know, but he does work, as you know, many, many hours.
I think a lot of it is down to Irish begrudgery. People hate to see successful people, and the wages he was getting were staggering. I do think he should have been on a good wage, but I don't think he should have been on anything that he was on.
That's to do with RTE and his agent.
Yeah, completely. It's not.
If they turn round to you tomorrow and said, "Right, Jeremy, you're 300 grand a year from now on," right? You're hardly going to say, "Oh no, I can't take that," are you?
I would be sorry if the bosses of Ireland's Classic Hits are listening at the moment. I'd be out of here. I wouldn't even pack my bags. I'd be going down to RTE straight away. Yes, absolutely. Not one person listening to this show at the moment would turn down a pay rise from their employer if their employer said that.
No.
No, absolutely not.
It's the worst bullying I think I've seen in many, many years. And some of those people, what they're writing up on Facebook and Twitter, they should be bloody ashamed of themselves.
But social media, I don't believe represents... Okay, here's the thing. We're a radio show with a huge audience here tonight, yeah? And I would be very surprised. In fact, just stay there for a second. I'm going to ask our Jane, producer outside. Jane, are we getting any calls in from haters yet? Ryan Tubridy haters? Sorry, I can't hear you. Go on and say again, sorry. No. Not yet. Now, what does that say? Yet if you go on Twitter, so these people are just blowing hot air. Like, just ignore them. Just ignore them, Stay there for a second, please. Kathy, let me go to Patricia. How are you, Patricia?
How you doing?
Are you a fan of Tubridy? Are you obsessed at the news?
Well, there's a question there. You would have to know how much he is getting a year. In common sense, common knowledge.
Yeah,
It's like if you had a contract with somebody and you have to know what you were getting and how much you were getting. So no one walks in blindfolded and gives somebody else.
You see, okay, again, what I will say, Patricia, is that when you're a normal PAYE worker and you work a 40-hour week for a company, okay, and you get the same wages every week and it comes in a pay slip and you know exactly what it's always the same, it's the same every month. For the vast majority of people listening to the show, the vast majority of the Irish population who are PAYE workers, they know exactly, they can tell you down to the cent how much they get. But when you are a contractor and when you're invoicing and when you have monies coming in, and again, I'm not defending what he did, but when you have monies coming in from left, right and centre and you have invoices here and you have to pay agents here and so on and so forth, it's a bit more complicated than just being a PAYE worker with a wage slip every week, if you get the point I'm trying to make. Yeah,
but the point I'm making is you have to, in RT or anywhere, I think, and anywhere in this kind of business, interpreting, you should know how much he was getting a year. You'd have to know, because if you're in RT there, Germany, whatever, you'd have to know. Someone has to sign this, you have to know how much you're getting a year. That's it. That's what the people are confused about. And he's saying... And
Well, no, hang on. I don't know. I don't know how much I will earn this year. My earnings change on a monthly basis, by the way, depending on how much I work. So I don't get the same. If you asked me and put a gun to my head now and asked me how much money I made last month, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I genuinely, you'd have to bring my accountant.
No, I'm talking about Tubridy. He had a contract.
No, but I'm saying it's the same. It's the same thing. People in the media, when they have incomes coming from different sources and stuff like that. I'm telling you now, hand on my heart. And if Niall was here, he'd be able to say the same thing. No, he wouldn't be earning as much as me. That's a joke, by the way, Niall, if you're listening. But Niall wouldn't be able to tell you the exact amount a year. So it's not cut and dry.
Right. Another issue they were saying, why does he use talent? Put the word talent. There's people there with the cameras, the makeups, all these important when people are important too. Why do you use term talent?
Well, that's a word that's used in the media for it. Well, it's shortened. It's on-air talent. That's what it's called. On-air. That's just a word. That doesn't mean he's more talented than anyone else.
That's what they were coming across, and that's.
Well, no. You see again because you don't work in the media. People who work in that's what people who are on air and the face of RTE or Ireland's Classic Hits Radio, but we don't use that word in here, by the way, but they would normally refer to as on-air talent. So that's hardly worth getting them. Do you think Kathy Patricia's getting upset over nothing here?
Yeah. People are forgetting that he's paying his accountants. He's paying Noel Kelly. I wonder how much he's paying him. He's also paying tax.
Paying a huge amount of tax.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's forgetting that. He's not sitting at home, doing nothing.
Sorry, one at a time. Go ahead, Patricia. One at a time.
You would have to know how much he was getting a year. Common sense.
No, you wouldn't. That's the whole point, Patricia. You wouldn't. Your accountant knows.
Contract. Right. How many years in the ratio?
Okay, you ask me right now, Patricia, how much did I earn last year?
No, I wouldn't ask that person.
No, ask me the question. How much, say, Jeremy, how much did you earn last year?
But that's
she doesn't want to ask me the question. Well, I'm telling you, you don't have to ask me the question because I'm telling you the answer would be, I don't know. I would have to go through figures and that's not, by the way, that's not, there's nothing untoward going on. Everything is accounted for and all that, but I just don't know. That would be in my accounts because again, salary goes up and goes down. And it's not that I earn a huge amount of money. I certainly don't. But I just don't know. So there's your answer, Patricia.
Right. Another question. How come I came up about the 5 year of the car?
How come? Sorry, say that again.
About come up on the Reynolds car.
That wasn't him. That was Marty Morrissey.
Well, I know that. That's another issue in the RTE as well.
Yeah, well, why don't you all start going on about Marty Morrissey then? Why is it all...
I'll leave Marty alone. Well, I don't want to go on about anybody that's not here to defend themselves.
I'm just saying what the 9 people, and what I hear is people saying, I'm not mad at them, I'm just saying, what you ask me what to say, what I say. I don't care. Pleasure, Martin Wheeler, whatever his name is. But the point is, he had the car for 5 years and the company car, whatever he had. I don't know and I don't care either.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Marty Morrissey. We're talking about Ryan Tubridy. Let me ask you, Patricia. Let's focus on this. Are you sad that he's not going to return to RTE Radio?
Me personally, I'll be honest with you and I'll be straight with you. I don't listen to him.
You don't? Okay, that's fine. No. Jesus, that's not everybody does.
No.
But you do understand that 330,000 people every day did listen to him.
Did you? I mean,
so no, but do you understand how big of an audience that is, and how much revenue having an audience like that brings in?
I'll tell you another thing. A lot of people.
No, did you listen to my question?
I did, yeah.
Well, what's your response to it? Do you understand the kind of revenue that is generated when listenership figures are that high?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. But the point I'm making is this. There's thousands of people like me, and I say there's more people like me, I wouldn't say thousands, don't listen to the Late Late Show, whatever. Now, not since we gave Bo died and all that kind of thing. I used to look at Late Late Show. But I find the Times not interesting. I don't like it, and that's it. That's
not what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you the question whether you like it or not. Lots of people don't watch the Late Late Show. I don't watch the Late Late Show myself because I'm normally out on a Friday night. But that's not the point. I'm asking you the question: do you see the value of someone who can bring in an audience of 1/3 of a million people?
Well, it was on the...
No, just answering. You're not answering the question. This is like the back in the Ryan Tubridy when he was in front of the panel. No, do you see the value? That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, you do see the value?
Yeah, people... Yes, so many thousands, yes. No, another thing is, so this happened about Tubridy, right? An awful lot of people are just fed up of this. They're saying they just don't want to see it, hear it. In 2-3 months' time, they're all got about Tubridy, it'll be someone else.
Oh yeah, should they be hating on? They'd be hating on what's his name, on Patrick Keelty. Then after that, thanks very much for your call, Patricia. If you want to get in on this, 087 188 0008. Jesus, things are getting fairly heated. Let me just see. Is this breaking news? Apparently, the door is still open now in RTE. The door was closed. Now it's back open. They must have got a bit of WD-40. So this is obviously from Mr. Backhurst, who's been speaking on the 9 o'clock news, as we've been on as well. And he said there's been a lot of mistakes made, and some particular big mistakes by RT and also by Ryan and his advisors. So it's like, you know what it's like? It's like a marriage. It's like a marriage breaking down, and they're trying to settle the divorce. However, he said he was particularly disappointed with a statement from Ryan, Mr. Tubridy, following a highly anticipated report into his earnings. So, is the door open? Is the door closed? We want to hear from you. 087 188 0008. We're talking about the breaking news story that Ryan Tubridy will not be returning to RTE. The door was closed. Now the door is, let's not say it's fully open, okay? The door is slightly ajar at the moment. It's just swinging open a little bit. And again, you see, when you break it down, and a lot of you may think I was being harsh on Patricia there. I wasn't. I was just stating facts to Patricia. I mean, she thought that Tubridy was the one that had the car when it was Marty Morrissey. She also didn't know what the audience figures were for the Late Late Show or the Ryan Tubridy Show. And when I put those figures to her, you know, the Late Late Show was bringing in just shy of 500,000 viewers a week. That brings in massive revenue. And, you know, that... And then she got upset about him being called a talent. I tried to explain that to her as well, that someone who is on the air, be it TV or radio, are normally called the on-air talent. That's just
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
It is Ireland's Classic Hits Radio with Jeremy Dixon here live until 11 p.m. tonight, and we're dealing with the breaking story. By the way, we will be coming to something else in about 10 minutes, but I just wanted to give this some airtime because it's the first chance that people are going to have to talk about this. Now, by tomorrow, every radio show will have done it, but we're the first to cover this topic because it broke literally as I was arriving in to work to do my 2-hour show. That's all I work, 2 hours. You see, people believe that. They believe when they hear presenters on the radio or the TV that those people only work those hours. They have no idea about the prep that goes in, the after prep, the pre-prep, all that sort of stuff. They think that Ryan Tubridy literally got out of his car at 5 to 9 on a Friday night and walked in and did the Late Late Show and then said, see you later, as soon as it was over. That's not how TV, and it's certainly not how radio works. So I'm happy to inform you on that. Anyway, I'd like to hear from you. 087 188 0008. Kevin Backhurst, of course, the DG of RTE, was on 9 o'clock news there on RTE a few moments ago. I just got a chance to listen to some of what he said. I might just play a bit of it here. So this is the RTE Director General on 9 o'clock news.
So a breakdown in trust. Does this...
But that's Sharon first.
That statement issued last night, this difference of interpretation over these so-called Renault payments.
It doesn't boil down to the statement alone. I think part of the discussions throughout with me and Ryan Tubridy have been about the need to take responsibility on both sides, and RTE has taken responsibility, has borne the vast majority of responsibility for what went wrong here. But I also felt it was important that Ryan himself owned a certain amount of responsibility for this, and we had some discussions about that, and that was important.
So just to be clear...
And it goes on and on and on, but that's the bones of it. And I said this at the start of the show, it's like watching a divorce, because that's exactly the way couples go on when they're divorcing. It's always blame and who's more at fault than the other. And, you said you'd bring me out for meals and you wouldn't bring me out for meals. Well, you said you'd dress sexy for me and you wouldn't dress sexy. It's the exact same thing. It's a he said, she said, and who's more to blame than the other. It's just absolute mess. It really is, and it's all happened in public view. Let me go to line 2, and that is Ross. How are you, Ross? You're on Ireland's Classic Hits. How are things?
How are you getting on? You're
good.
Well?
Now, what's your reaction to this?
Tubridy?
Yeah,
I can't stand them. RTE absolutely.
Well, no, I'm not asking you can you stand or not. That's irrelevant to the conversation. You know, I don't know how he feels about you either. But what do you make of what's happened and the fact that he may not go back to RTE?
Good luck to him. He has enough money to retire now, so good luck to him. I tell you now, why I to be honest with you now, you sound like a Tubridy fan to me.
Oh, here we go. Jesus Christ, didn't take long. What do you mean I sound like a Tubridy fan? Because I'm speaking sense here, Ross.
Okay, you're speaking sense. Tubridy now.
Oh, okay, well, before you go, you said you don't like him. Why don't you like him? Let's get to it. Is it because he earned a lot of money?
No, nothing to do with earning the money at all. Nothing to do with
but it's funny because the first thing you said when you came home was, he has enough money to retire on. So obviously you
why I dislike Tubridy. I'll explain to you right now why I dislike Tubridy.
Go on.
Stop being a Piers Morgan and interrupting me.
Go on, tell me.
Tubridy pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed more than any other RTE presenter.
The vaccine, is that what you're going to mention?
No.
Lockdowns, is that what you're going to mention?
The COVID narrative.
Oh, here we go, Jesus.
The only man in the
here
world
we
to
go.
ever get COVID.
Oh my God! How did I know? You know, if I had been and I'm not a gambler, I would have put my house, and that's what you're going to say, Ross. So you're upset that the little man on the television was telling people to stay safe and to stay indoors. That's what you're upset about.
No.
Well, it seems like you are.
Do you know what? Every time he was on the radio, on the news, every time he was interviewed on the street, no matter when, he was like, I had COVID. I am the COVID survivor. Every time.
Never heard him saying that.
3 times a week. Well, do you know what? Look, I heard him and I seen him. I'm not making it up. And he just pushed. And then the late Thai show, and he had the children with their pretend doctors and nurses sets and pushing.
Yeah. You probably hang on. You probably believe all of us in the media were paid by Big Pharma as well to push the vaccine. Do you as well? Are you one of those people?
Do you know what? Classic Hits is probably one.
Oh, here we go. No. Answer the question, because for the last 4 years since COVID came along, I regularly get tweets still, by the way, even though everybody else has forgotten about it, from people asking me, did I get paid by Big Pharma to push the COVID vaccine? So answer the question. Do you believe that people, that literally Pfizer came along to me or came along to Ryan Tubridy and said, here's an envelope, we want you to push the vaccine? Do you believe that?
I do believe, not all of you, some of you.
Oh my God. Okay, where's the proof?
Do you know what? Come here, you sound like a right politician.
No, where is the proof? If you're going to say something, where is the proof? Have you got a photograph of a check from Pfizer to send to any member of the media for pushing the vaccine? Why in God's name would I want to? Why would I? First of all, how would Pfizer even know who I was to ring me and say, "Here, can you push the vaccine?"
Radio station. Do you own the radio station? Do you direct? Are you a director? Do you own the radio station? A document was released. Okay,
Ross, I want you to answer the question. Where is the proof? And this is completely by the way. I'm just playing your game. Where is the proof? That any listen to me for a second? Where is the proof that any radio or TV presenter got money to push the vaccine or to push lockdown? Where is the proof?
There was a document.
A document. Good luck to you, Ross. Can't be dealing with that. I just don't have the patience. I really don't. Claire, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How are you?
Hi, not too bad. How are you?
I'm sorry for getting annoyed at that, but that just pisses me off. Excuse me.
I was laughing. I'm sorry, I was laughing too.
Every single person who works in the media has been hearing this for the last 4 years. I can tell you now, hand on my heart, on my family's life, I have never got a penny from Big Pharma to push anything. No, I can't speak for other members of the media, but I don't think anybody did.
Look,
but that's why he doesn't. He hates Tubridy. He hates Tubridy because he thinks, Tubridy was pushing lockdown. He was pushing the vaccine.
I'd say he hates the world. I'd say.
Yeah.
Hates the world entirely. But as for the vaccine and for COVID, look, it's like we were in this vortex. It happened. And look, nobody had control over how it was going to pan out. We just had to do because we were so afraid. Nobody knew. Even the
I know. In fairness, I don't even because this isn't about COVID. I mean,
no, it's not.
It's not. This has nothing to do with COVID. It has absolutely. But hang on, I just need to say this, Claire, because there's a cohort of people out there who are obsessed. They tried to control us. New World Order. All this absolute horse manure, and they're still going on about it now. Do you think he's been treated fairly by RTE?
No, and no. The way I feel, I think that Ryan offered so much to Ireland and to everyone, and like he was such a good person. He is such a good person, right? But I just feel that he waited too long to say, okay, like he was kind of saying, oh, well, I didn't know I got this from Renault, but like he kind of must, like if somebody sips 100 quid, like we're all aware of our bank accounts. I'm sorry. If you don't, then if you're not aware of what's going in and out of your account, there's something wrong with you. Like you...
Again, and I will say, if you work a 40-hour week, 9 to 5, and you're a PAYE worker, yes, and the only money going into your account is from one company that you work for. So if you are a manager for Tesco's, and that's the only job you have as a manager for...
I know, I'm sorry. No, this is going on for too long. No, this wasn't like a one-off thing. This was going on for a while.
No, but the point I'm trying to make, everybody keeps harping back to you got to know what's coming into your account every month and every...
not every single cent. Every single cent, but this is a substantial amount of money. This is not like 50 or 100 quid.
No, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Okay, let me ask you the question, because we're running out of time rapidly on this. Two questions I want to ask you. The first question is, are you sad that he won't be returning to his show?
To the Late Late Show? No, I'm not, because I think it's ran its time. I think it's time for him now to move on to other things. Don't want to see him witch hunted. I'd love to see him in something else. Like, he's great in radio.
Yep.
He's fantastic in charity. And I'm sorry, he's a people person. The man is a people person.
Yep.
And if anyone could turn around and say to me, really, that he's a bad person, I would tell him straight away.
Well, nobody is saying that. And in fairness,
but they're trying to say that, he's like, he robbed, like, he was a grabber, grabbed the money. No, I don't believe for 1 second. He raised so much money for charity, like, and did things above and beyond. Like, I know people here where I'm from, where he took their children to the toy show. And, like, he did a lot of things off his own back. Like, he paid for a lot of things from his own pocket. And, like, he's a good person. I believe he's a good person. I'd probably be killed for that. Like, but I don't care.
I don't care what people say.
I don't believe he should be witch hunted like Philip Schofield was.
Because he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything illegal. Anyway, I'm sorry for cutting across you, but I'm way out of time. We were only planning on talking about that for about 20 minutes. Let me just read out. In fact, you know what I'll do? I will take a quick break. I'll come back. I'll read out some of your messages or voice notes and just mop up opinion on that. If you have an opinion and you want to get it into us, now is the time to do it. Don't moan about it afterwards when it's all over.
Classic Hits Radio.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I needed that break. I really did. Had to have a cup of tea and settle down. I wasn't expecting that. But, it is a divisive issue. And when you mention Ryan Tubridy, some people do get annoyed by the very mention of the man's name. Let me read out a couple of your messages, because there was so many people trying to get in on that. We just couldn't get to all of them. So let me read out a couple of your messages. Here we go. Stop talking rubbish, Jeremy. Of course everyone knows what they are being paid unless they are totally stupid, says that person. And again, Carmel, at the risk of repeating myself for the 5th time, no, they don't. Maybe you do, because you earn the same money every month because you're a PAYE worker. But when people are getting different incomes from different things that they do, and different amounts are coming every month. I mean, Carmel, do you have an accountant? Do you invoice for the job you do? Do you have to invoice several different people? Does your money fluctuate month to month? No, it doesn't. So you don't know what you're talking about. I like Tubbs, says Kathleen, but he should take a pay cut. Yeah, I've said this all along. I think some of the wages of people like Ryan Tubridy, I'm sure he would. In fact, he did agree. He said it himself that the money he was getting was eye-watering. That's not the exact quote, but he does himself understand that he did get way too much money. I mean, yeah, it is. I never thought. Here we go. I never thought Ryan Tubridy was good on the Late Late Show, says that person. Well, again, 430,000 people disagreed with you. That's what the amount of people that were watching it. But don't let facts get in the way of your argument. It's the best news ever, says this lovely person. Says Peter, hope it never returns to the radio in Ireland. Says Peter. Peter's one of those people who hates the show. And we get this all the time as well. Hates the show, never listened to it, but knows exactly what it's about. And finally, I think Ryan Tubridy was used as a scapegoat. Shame on RTE. And then the very, very last one, showbiz and media is a cutthroat business, and very few are forgiven, says that person. I don't exactly know what you mean about very few are forgiven, but there you go. I can't stand people who make assertions. Sorry, I keep saying it's the last one, but there's so many coming in about Tubbs. Tubbs only did what he was asked to do, says Derian. Thank you very much for all your calls, your comments and your texts. And if we didn't get to you, I apologise, because there's messages coming in now and we could be going down rabbit holes, big pharma and Pfizer rabbit holes, and to be honest with you, no, I haven't got the patience for it. It's not what the issue is about. If Ryan Tubridy asked people to stay indoors during the pandemic, so did I, by the way. So did I. I didn't get paid to say that, but I felt that it was important to protect other people. That's not what this conversation is about. Honestly, it's like you can't talk about anything nowadays, and there's a certain cohort of people there that just bring everything back to the vaccine, or COVID, or lockdowns, controlling us. You can't mention anything. They're just obsessed with it. It's living in their head, rent-free. Anyway, thank you very much for all your calls, your comments and your texts. On to something completely different. And this is a pet peeve of mine, I have to say. And I want to hear from you if this is happening in your area. We're talking about illegal dumping. Or fly tipping, as it's also called. Is it a problem in your area? We want to talk about this issue because it rarely gets highlighted, but it's something that I see happening every single day. And I'll tell you a few stories in a moment of stuff that I've seen. But I want to hear from you if you have witnessed this. People dumping sofas, dumping washing machines, cookers at the side of the road in laneways, throwing black bags out of their cars. In fact, if you live in rural Ireland, where there are laneways and stuff like that, you'll probably witness this a hell of a lot. And I'm talking about fly tipping, because in the news today was the story of a play area park, a green in Crumlin in Dublin, that, well, children have been left with nowhere to play because of illegal dumping of pallets. The green space on Cashel Avenue, which is in Crumlin in Dublin, has been heavily cluttered by numerous pallets and other rubbish. I saw the photographs today, and I'm telling you, it's like bonfire night. There's literally pallets and rubbish just dumped everywhere. The kids can't even play there. Now, Dublin City Council insisted that the area is being maintained on a regular basis. It's understood more pallets are being stored in neighbours' gardens. I don't know why they would be storing pallets. But this is not unique to Crumlin or to Drimina or areas like that. This happens all over the country. Before we get down to the debate about it, I want to talk to local Sinn Féin councillor Daithí Doolan about this and find out how bad the problem actually is. Daithí, you're very welcome along to the show. Good evening.
To be on the show, Tom, but it's a very, very important issue.
It certainly is. I saw the photographs, Daithí, and I was... first of all, when I saw the photographs, I had to check the date because I assumed it was the 30th of October and they were getting all this stuff ready for Halloween, and it wasn't. This is happening right now. Tell me about that green area.
Well, in Crumlin, on the south side of Dublin, a big residential area built in the 40s, 50s, kind of those old terraced houses. Many of those areas have big greens in the middle that facilitate young children to play games, football, sports, chasing. And they're widely used in that area, and they're essential to those communities. And unfortunately, that particular area has been taken over by pallets over the last short while, illegally just dumped, stored in some of the houses and dumped on the green. And that's a hazard to the young people. It's also taking their open space away at a time during summer holidays when they should be using it. We want all our children out and about playing, and unfortunately they've been robbed of that. And that really condemns the community. It's not just illegal dumping per se, as bad and all as it is, but it's an attack on the children and the community there. And also this comes at a huge cost. It's illegal, and it comes at a cost of millions to Dublin City Council and other local authorities, because somebody has to pick up the rubbish, somebody has to pick up the tab and pay the bill. And I would strongly encourage the public, when they see it happening, please report it, because the people involved need to be hit hard in their pockets where they feel it. Because sometimes this isn't just the odd bag. When we talk about illegal dumping, I'm sure you and your listeners will be aware, it's not just the odd bag, even though that's a blight in our communities as well. Sometimes this is a commercial process where people actually pay for the rubbish to be collected. They don't care where it goes, and then it ends up in some green space, laneway, alleyway, street, behind somebody's house.
Well, sorry, Di, that's a question I want to ask you, because I've heard rumours of this before, that when you pay, two men with a van, and you pay them to take away, all your kitchen stuff, washing machines, dryers, the whole lot. Are you saying in some cases, and obviously not in all cases, reputable people doing this, but in some cases they're literally taking £100 off you and dump it on the side of the road?
I know it. It's been reported. It is something that I have championed a long time in Dublin City Council. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm always reporting it, and also trying to ensure that those involved in it are face the full rigours of the law and are hit in the pocket when they feel it and are put out of business. These are cowboys who are holding our communities to ransom by illegal dumping. Somebody's paying them, somebody sees it, people need to report it. But also, when people report it, they need to feel a confidence that action is taken, because this is not some sort of hobby or pastime. This is illegal, and it's illegal for a reason, because it blights our community, it contaminates the environment, and we're talking about some small corners of the community right across to massive illegal dumps.
But sorry for cutting across you, Di. Why would somebody... I'm trying to look at the logic here. There is no logic with these people. They're just dirty pigs. But what is the logic of dumping a refrigerator or a television when you can literally bring it to any electrical shop, and as part of the recycling plan you can literally leave it in a cage outside Power City or whatever the case may be? Why did they need to dump it at the side of the road?
Because I think some people are ignorant about the services. Some people are lazy. Some people think I'll pay a few quid and you'll deal with it. It's out of my conscience, out of my backyard, out of my shed. And it's not just all fridges and freezers. People need to be clear. I've seen sofas, I've seen beds, I've seen chemicals, commercial cooking oil. All this I spotted in alleyways and alleyways in Dublin, and I've had no problem reporting it. I will report it as soon as I see it. I see it in Cherry Hill, Drimna, in Cherry Orchard, Vermont, Crumlin, the city centre. Wherever I see it, I will report it, because we need to put these people out of business, and we also need to make sure that our streets are safe and clean, because many of these tips and the beds and the bins and the chemicals are also a danger. They're a danger to communities. I mean, those pallets, children who went out playing could have got injured, could have fallen, they could have landed on top of their legs and damaged them. So people involved in this need to face the consequences, and they also need to realise the damage they're doing to our communities. I met with our own City Council here in Ballyfermot, the Civic Centre here. I had a meeting with the newly appointed officer to see what we could do to tighten the screws in those areas where there is illegal dumping. We know where the black spots are, and let's tackle them. But I would encourage the public to pick up the phone. Myself, City Council and the guards can operate on information we're given. So I'd encourage people, contact us so we get it done as quickly as we can.
That's good to hear. I was saying at the start of this topic when I was introducing it, I see this on a daily basis up by Clochran, at the back of the airport when I'm driving out to, I have a studio out in Portmarnock, and I drive out the back roads, and you see fridges dumped in the laneways, you see black bags, you see, like you're saying, you see sofas, and the thing is, how can you stop these people? Because on roads like that, there's no CCTV.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio, the multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.